What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is our round 21 review episode. The Cats smashed the Port Adelaide Football Club to the tune of 88 points, and I'm pretty keen to break all of it down with you tonight. Lots of cool stories coming from it, and of course, we are continuing to watch Jezza Cameron as he gets closer and closer to goal 100 this season. Hopefully, he can manage it. We might talk about that as the show goes on, but we'll review the Geelong and Port Adelaide game. We'll go around the grounds with all the other games that were played this weekend. There's some Q&A that we'll jump into, game of the show, which I haven't even worked out yet. I was recording another podcast up until about 3 minutes before the stream went live tonight, so I'm coming in real hot. But I'm keen to discuss anything that you want to talk about tonight. A little bit of love for Jack Martin already and his sensational effort on the weekend. Just a 5-minute blitz that was pretty extraordinary to watch. Keen to talk about that and a whole bunch more from this game. Massive shout out to those who are already here. So Roaming, who we've obviously just pinned. Mark is around. Gary's here. Shadoo's popped in. Amy's there. Jackie's there. Grins is there. Aiden's popped in. Home supremacy. It's a good time to be a Cats fan, and hopefully we can continue this form all the way into a finals campaign. Make sure that we hopefully win every other game for the rest of it. Could be a finals live wire. Aaron, bit of love for number 19 as well. It's been awesome. So I'm keen to discuss all of these things with you tonight, but we are going to get into some news as well. And I guess it's not a Geelong related story, but I think it's important to kind of acknowledge some of the really important people in the game when big moments come along. And Callum Ward has announced his retirement. Obviously, it wasn't that long ago that he unfortunately injured himself, and it looked like the season was going to be in a bit of jeopardy. His career was potentially going to be in a bit of jeopardy. He has now confirmed that he is retiring, which is really, really unfortunate to see. But, we take the moment to celebrate what an incredible football across two clubs, but especially the Giants. Started at the Dogs, was looking like a gun there, went over, did some incredible things for the Giants, has led them for quite some time, especially post Phil Davis. He's been a fantastic leader for that club. And he plays the game, I think, the way we would want to see all of our footballers play the game. He does it with class, respect, but he also plays it at the highest level of intensity. I love watching him play football. It's a shame we won't get to do that anymore, especially a shame for him to kind of go out with an injury, being the thing that's kind of ended the career. Continuing on in terms of some news, and we'll talk about Tom Stewart, who has dodged a sanction. There'd been a little bit of speculation that people were kind of comparing what his attempted smother to the Braden Maynard one. I think they're a little bit different. Tom Stewart ultimately just fell on top of Ollie Wines on the weekend. And I think that's absolutely what's proven to be the thing here, because Braden Maynard kind of turned the body and the hip came through on Brayshaw and obviously ended his career. In the case of Tom Stewart, he was up. He was in a very shit position to be in, very vulnerable. But he just fell. He just fell on top of him. He didn't tip the body into him. He didn't do anything too stupid. He just fell on top of him. And I think that's absolutely worked out in his favor there. Not a lot he could do about it. And I think everyone would respect that. But he had some serious poise in that moment. So it's good to see that he's right to go, and we'll see him play against the Bombers, or be available, I should say, to play against the Bombers next weekend. Gary has just popped in, sharing his thoughts on AFL tonight, AFL 360, and on the couch, where Geelong has mentioned zilch, Vadanil, nothing. Not at all, apparently. Roaming says, I must say it was a good 5 minutes, but it's only 5, and I don't think that he is being overrated at the moment. No, I don't think. I think there's a lot more that he can still offer at the moment, but I think he's proving to be a pretty potent sub, if nothing else. And I know Chris Scott and pretty much every coach in the competition, according to Graham Swam, wants to be done with the sub. But while it's still in place, let's utilize it to the greatest possible ability. And someone like Jack Martin has proven to be very, very handy there. They've developed this versatility. We know he can play through the midfield. He's done it plenty when he was at the Gold Coast. He's really, he's got a great forward line game. We've shown what he can do in the defensive half of the ground. earlier stints this season. I think they've created this super sub where it doesn't matter who the player is that goes down, Jack Martin can fill that gap, whether he's starting on the field or not too, because if he's playing forward, defender goes down, he can flip down to a defensive end, no worries. I think it is a great player to have, and as Roaming says, he's a good filler. Shadu then mentions they never talk about us. They do when they need to. Kerry Burke says Jack Martin's best performance on the ground yesterday coming as the sub. Let's see if he can do it again against the Bombers. Grins Tequila, our forward line, looking to have a lot of dangerous options right now. Look, I mean, it helps when the Port midfield was completely listless in that third quarter, and we just cut our way through with ease, and that allowed Shannon Neal to get on, though he was marking the ball extremely well. Allowed him to get on the end of a few. Jack Martin, obviously, a few of those were pretty simple ones. There was that fantastic contested mark coming from Danger. Of course, Danger made it look harder than it needed to be, but he was great in that regard. Shadu says our defense leaves a lot to be desired. Still, though, I still think it's a structural thing. I think the way we are setting ourselves up defensively is when we are surging forward still needs some work. But we'll see. If our forwards, if our midfielders can get their hands on the ball enough, deliver it inside 50, our forwards have been doing an exceptional job all year of locking the ball in there. And if we can do that, that gives us the opportunity to set up defensively. Where we are exposed is on a turnover, specifically on turnover. Martin was good, but what about the players who gave him the ball? Absolutely. I mentioned, obviously, Danger there, and honestly, I can't remember the rest. I apologize, but I was there at the ground. I haven't watched the game on TV since, so I don't know. 8 contested marks to their 1 in our back 50. Yeah, I mean, Jake's right. Like, statistically, I think speaking, that's good. I think there's still a structural thing to look at. But again, I think it's really specific to when we are, when we're bursting away from contests, when we're delivering the ball with some speed. If there's a stoppage, and this is why our forwards and what they're doing is also so hugely important, why whenever I do a reaction video, I'm always banging on about the tackles inside 50 in particular. If we can lock that ball in, if we don't manage to get hands on the ball or it gets kind of locked down, if we can, don't worry, Kerry, we're going to get to that one. I was going to talk all about what you just referenced there in the chat. But if we can lock the ball inside forward 50, and Jake's expanding, and said it was the reverse in our forward 50, 8 contested marks for us and 1 for them. Yeah, I think like all those measures are really good. I think if we can lock that ball inside forward 50, then that gives us the time to set up structurally behind the ball. And then I think we're fine. It's when we turn it over, which is, I guess, the great weakness of any team, right? And that's why I don't really like subscribing too much to it, because it's a problem that every team can have. It looks worse for us because we are playing such a hyper-aggressive game a lot of the time. I think this is something that a lot of teams can fall victim to. We just do it more because of the way we are trying to play the game right now, in terms of how aggressive we're trying to play the game. And if we dial back, I feel like we lose a little bit of something. But there's so much, our forwards do so much, and that defensive pressure is arguably the most important thing they're bringing to the game at the moment, because it allows our defenders who are surging that ball in there along the midfielders to set up to stop the opposition going the other way. Always get a kick out of this. Loose Arsehole says, who do you think's our biggest threat this year come finals? Brisbane. Don't want to deal with them. I do not want to deal with them. And if people have checked out, if you haven't already checked out, there's a video I put together talking about, this wasn't a deliberate thing. Video for patrons. The scratching post will be going up talking about our top 3. The fact that we could be top 3 and winning from third on the ladder. And I discussed Geelong, Collingwood, Brisbane, Adelaide, and kind of this whole mix in the top 4. And why I will say, we need to be supporting, and it makes me feel sick to the stomach to say this, we need to be supporting Collingwood and Hawthorn. And I'm looking straight down the barrel of the camera here, and I'm saying this earnestness. We need to be supporting Collingwood and Hawthorn next few weeks. Or at least Hawthorn to get the game against Brisbane, because they've got a game against Brisbane coming up, if I recall. We need them to pinch that. We need Brisbane to lose one somewhere along the way. And right now they're playing like absolute rock stars. We need them to drop a game. And if they can drop a game, we can then leap them on the ladder. Right now, I don't see Brisbane losing a game, which is worrisome because if Collingwood falls off, then we're talking about finishing third behind Brisbane and having to travel to Brisbane for a qualifying final. If we lose that, and we haven't been in the best form against Brisbane, then there's a high likelihood that even if we get through the semi the next week, we are then off to Adelaide to play in a prelim final. We're going to have to win the hardest possible way. Don't love that for us. I would love a scenario where Collingwood and Geelong are second and third, doesn't matter which order, and we play at the MCG. And if we win that one, we play at the MCG. And if we win that one, we play at the MCG for a grand final. That's the kind of dream scenario at the moment. So please, to Gary's point, we can also be supporting Freo here. That's another scenario where we can get that loss for Brisbane. We need to see Brisbane lose. And honestly, as much as I don't like any idea, and Roaming's clearly upset with me a little bit here, as much as I don't love the idea of having to support Hawthorn in particular, I'll do what's required. What did Essendon say before they took drugs? Whatever it takes. But Jackie, I guess at the core here, and it is like, if we're good enough to win, then you'll do it whatever way you have to. The long way, the hard way, the interstate way. It is what it is. That said, would like an easier ride. All right, let's. And Shadu threw up in the mouth. I'm sorry. I do understand how, like, I've had time to digest this thought beforehand. So for a lot of you going, what is this clown saying? I've had a couple of days to just sit on the thought and get my head around the idea. But Collingwood do not deserve to win finals. Look, the fact that they won as many as they did early on says yes. And they absolutely do deserve to make finals. But the question is right now is, do they deserve to make top four? Well, that's slipping. It's rapidly slipping. How many games clear are they right now? They're one game clear of us, Freo, and Gold Coast, because Gold Coast have got that extra game in hand, and we expect that they beat Essendon. So they're only one game clear of three, and half a game clear of Brisbane. So it could slip very, very quickly if they do blow it, and they are dipping in form, as Roaming says. They need to pick themselves up very quickly, because this could slip away very, very quickly for them. But I think you can take it to the bank. I think they'll play finals. But top four is a bit of a worry for them right now. So, and Jackie says, Shez, the pie slipping out of the top four on the ladder. Yeah, I can see that right now. I've got to kind of update my ladder predictions, because I did it weeks ago before the slide. So there's a few Collingwood wins on there that I'm now a little bit more cynical about. I should say. All right. Let's kind of move into the match review here, because we've kind of danced around that for a little while already. And we'll talk about the result. Oh, apparently I clicked away from the game here. So Cats, 23 goals, 15. Oh, hang on. Ben gave me a graphic. I better. He doesn't do much for the Hoops crew, but there's Ben's little graphic. The Cats, 23 goals, 15, 153, beating the Power, 9-11-65. Jeremy Cameron with 6 goals, 1. Could have been a lot more. We were trying to feed it to him. Massive credit to the defense who had to play against him. He, obviously kicked 6 goals there, but Lachie Jones did a pretty solid job for the most part, because it could have been a hell of a lot more. They were feeding Jezza. Except for in that third term where it was just all about Martin and Scratcher Neal, or Big Pizza Neal, I should say. But it's good stuff. 4 to Jack Martin, 3 to Shannon Neal. Georgiades with 3 goals, 2. Ollie Lord with 2 goals, 1. We'll continue to keep a bit of an eye on Ollie Lord. Who knows? Maybe a future Cat one day. And Jed McKenty with 1 goal, 2. In the disposal realm, Max Holmes with 35 and 2 goals. Bailey Smith with 30 disposals. Grime Myers with 30. And for the Power, Ollie Wines wound the clock back a little bit there with 32. Willem Drew with 24. Travis Boak also winding the clock back with 24 as well. Jackie, you'll have to clarify for me. What did Jezza say about Lachie Jones? Because I've kind of missed that, or so far I've missed that. But keen to hear what he had to say. All right, let's kind of pull apart this game a little bit here. we've obviously discussed a lot of the big ticket items already. It was a great team effort, but I think something that kind of gets lost a little bit in the discussion, we tend to get drawn to high disposals, towards high goals, but I don't think it's lost at all on this community, all of you who are watching right now, that there is a bloke who had 10 disposals on the weekend who was without doubt one of our best players on the ground. I'm, of course, talking about Oisin Mullen, who played on Zach Butters. Now, Butters' impact is certainly blunted a little bit at the moment without Horn Francis and without Connor Rosie right now. But to keep him to 10 disposals was huge. And I feel like this was kind of that warm-up for him. So he did that tagging role early in the year, took on Nick Dacos and won, took on a range of other players, Lockie Neal, won. His strike rate is pretty good against some elite midfielders, and they're all queuing up now for the next for the finals campaign. And I feel like Osh is just starting to get the running legs and get himself prepped to start dealing with some of these blokes. And whilst we won't be dealing with Zach Butters in the finals, Oisin Mullen playing against a player who is absolutely, when he's in full flight and he's got his full army around him, he's in your top 10 midfielders in the competition. He was fantastic, and I want to see more of it. So. Gary says Jezza is as cunning as a shit-ass rat. He's a little bit of a smart ass, but I appreciate it. I love that. Jackie clarifies. Essentially, Nicky Dell said that everyone wants to see Jezza kick 100. Jezza said, well, clearly Jones didn't. No, defend hard. You want to earn your stripes. No, I'd make him. I would hate to see a scenario where he just gets. Like, the Cats are going to feed him, of course. That seems abundantly clear at this point in time. But sorry, Amy says Butters had 34 disposals. I'm quickly scrolling across. No, he had 10 disposals. He had 34 ranking points. But where was I? I forgot now. Look, I wouldn't want him to just. I wouldn't want opposition to just kind of give up. Like, defend him hard. 34 in the week before in the showdown. Yeah, like, he's a top flight midfielder. And it's those sort of figures really highlight his quality. So, so thank you for clarifying that little bit there, Amy. Roaming says, I love the Jake Ripon interview. I actually haven't seen it myself yet. Good to see him on a small channel. That was a weird one. So we'd just gone and met up with the chaps and a few others at halftime, and then I was starting to make my way back. And what caught my eye was Ben being interviewed by Jake. So then I'm just kind of waiting on the side, and only for them to eventually realize that I was there too, and so pulled me in for a bit of fun. A little bit easier than last time. Last time I had my son with me, and there was kind of the crowd was heaving and surging around us. He was getting a little bit scared and intimidated by the whole thing, with people kind of shouting at me and making a lot of loud noise. Not so much this time. I didn't have to, he wasn't there with me. It was just me and my dad actually that went to this one. And I kind of broke off. So interview me. Yeah, I just wanted the attention. Is it so wrong? Ben was enjoying a little bit of me time, and I wasn't sharing. I wasn't going to allow him to share. Aaron says, forward half pressure will determine how we go in September. Stengel, Manor, Myers, and Close hold the keys to our success. We know what we'll get from the usual suspects. I'm with you. The midfield needs to get it down there. We need to get the opportunities in that forward line, but when we do, we lock that ball in so incredibly well. And if we can continue to do that in the final series, it gives us every chance. Again, I talk about that defensive structure before. It gives that part of the ground time to set themselves up. Amy says, sorry, accidentally pressed enter before I'd finished. That was without Horn Francis. It shows well how well Mullen did. Yeah, he's been an absolute gun. And I need to rewind because I did say I was going to talk about it, and then it slipped so far. I need to find the big shout out from Kerry about Connor O'Sullivan and his mark on the boundary line. That was a ripper. There was geez, he can do everything, this kid. And surely that helps increase his chances for a rising star later in the season. So we'll see how we go there. But that was a great mark. But really, I look at all this data And I've gone through all of the team, all the team stats as well. And please, if you haven't checked out my reaction video already for the game, go check it out. It was a comprehensive shellacking that we dished out to the Power this weekend. And you love to see it. So that's our review there of the game. Of course, the next 3 weeks we've got Essendon. Hopefully, Jezza can kick 12 or 13 of his 25 goals that he needs and really break the back of this 100-goal season pursuit. But Essendon don't have many key defenders at the moment, so it gives him every chance. But Essendon, Sydney, Richmond for the next 3, and then it's all about getting ourselves prepared and for the finals. Of course, very important that we are mindful of players returning in the next little bit as well. And the thing that's really tricky and complex in that regard is that the VFL is going to be wrapping up really soon for the Cats. But this weekend, or this coming weekend, I should say, Cam Guthrie, Mitch Duncan, Jake Kolodjasny will all return and are going to be pushing for a spot. Whether they can get one at this point of the season is a whole other thing. Ollie Henry is still going to be there fighting for a spot. It's a really good problem to have. The young blokes, the George Stevens, the Jai Clarks, all of these guys, they're still there and kind of pushing really hard as well. Mitch Nevitt, Ted Closey. We've got so much depth. And what I'm really interested to see, of course, Reece Stanley, Jed Buse. Oh, I almost forgot him. Jed Buse, of course, he's right there or thereabouts. He was on the emergencies list on the weekend. You feel like he's close. And the one that I'm watching this space on relates to Reece Stanley because he went off. There's been a bit of hamstring tightness that people are talking about, not a strain, but some hamstring tightness. Maybe that means that Toby Conway gets an opportunity next week against the Bombers just to make sure that he kind of gets himself AFL match fit, AFL match up to AFL match speed, just in case he's required. I think at this point, he's probably not the number one pick for this final series. I think Reece has offered so much over the course of the year and he's been there and done it. I think the experience counts for a lot. But in the event that we need, in the event that touch wood, that Reece goes down, we don't want that to happen, but just in the event that he goes down, you want to have someone ready to go. And Toby Conway, I think, is going to be really important in that respect. Lucas's mum has popped in. Good to see you. Aaron says Connor is our rising star. The voters are well and truly against him. Been the most consistent by a mile. Curtin $1.50 hardly cited him for the first 11 rounds. Yeah, I think that's I love Dan Curtin. I think he's a fantastic player. If anyone watched along when I did the draft, watch along. Funnily enough, 24 months ago, he was the one I wanted. Didn't work out. We got ourselves Connor O'Sullivan and we've done incredibly well out of that. I think Dan Curtin's a fantastic player, but you're right. It's only been the second half of the season where he's actually popped up and been relevant. So I don't know. Can you win? Should you win Rising Star for half of a season? I'm not so sure. Why do you think Neil had to go in the ruck this week and not SDK with Blitz? I think they want to get Sam. So Sam DeConing, since he's come back, I would say he's been our weakest. Probably been one of our weakest players in the last month. Obviously, he's coming back from injury and those sorts of things, but he hasn't seemed to have found his form and his touch yet. And I think they kept him in that key defensive post, dealing with the Georgiades and Ollie Lord to just try and help him get going. Now, can someone confirm what it was that he did that got the downfield free kick to Georgiades? Because I missed it on the day. And I'd be really disappointed if it was some kind of spoil sport or spoiled kind of immature act, because obviously we've spoken about this for quite a few years now, this type of thing. So if someone's able to clarify that one, let me know. But I haven't seen it just yet. And so I just think he needs more time in the defensive end and just to get himself up and running. And this was the best game he's played since he's returned. But I think he just needs to continue. Momentum is what he's looking for right now. I think that's... Oh, Jackie says he was holding him. Okay. Well, yeah, fair enough. That would make sense. Maybe not ill-disciplined then. That's all right. Well, as a footballing act, ill-disciplined. What do we got? Gary says, I love all the players you've mentioned, Paul, but I feel the only players likely to be looked at is Toby and Kolodjasny. That's fair. Lucas' mum says, yes, I'm hoping you would do that. Hope all teams beat Port. Jezelenko's flagging Murphy Reed is obviously a front runner. And of course, there's also Ashcroft. Probably the other ones that are all being considered ahead of Connor O'Sullivan. Wrongly, I might add. Grin says he hasn't impressed me much either. That'll be in relation to Sam de Koning. Most goals and goals assists in a debut season since Cyril is a really nice stat. Gary's referring SDK was improved. Yeah, as I mentioned before, yeah, probably his best game since he's returned, but we're getting there. Roman says it was a light hold. Needs more work down back. Stu didn't see. He grabbed him, very light. Do you think Geelong will rest Paddy? Not at this point. Not with 3 games before a bye. I think they'll just try and maintain. We've been seeing it a little bit with the Geelong team the last few weeks, where we're now starting to kind of make no changes on any given week. Georgiades did not flop. Georgiades was still standing the whole time. He just was getting held apparently. But yeah, I definitely did, like when I swung around, I saw the whistle, like there was no Georgiades on the ground or anything like that. It was just stopped him from leading. But yeah, I don't see Paddy. I think they're looking to go for consistency at this point. And they might reduce his minutes. They might make him the sub. All of those kinds of things. But I don't see Paddy getting a break now before the pre-finals bye. Pussy's popped in. Hi, Mum. Amy says, I've seen way worse not get paid than what SDK did, but the hold was nothing untoward. No, I'm glad to hear that. I'm awesome that people are clarifying that one. Flash Movie Trivia says, how many changes for this week? Give a few older guys a freshen up. Well, I guess I just spoke about danger in that respect. I do think that maybe we do get the one change, which is Reece Stanley. If there's any sort of, even the smallest amount of concern about Reece Stanley's hamstring off the back of this, then you go conservative and you give him a rest, let him recover, bring Toby in, get him AFL standard match fit, and we go from there. Paddy was charged up with his wrap, dropped the emoji as well. What were Lucas's comments during the Crows game the other night? I need to see that in the chat as well. How are we feeling about our SCG game in a fortnight? The surface is actually getting worse. Yeah, it's becoming really problematic over there. And I worry about player injuries more than anything else. Otherwise, we're fine. Grin says, if we could take one player from another team for the finals, who would we choose? Or do we not want to play this game? No, absolutely. Who would I choose? It's too easy to say, give me Nick Dacos, give me Sam Darcy. Key defenders, I think we're okay. I say that and then Jezza goes, Dacos! Sorry, mate. It's too easy for that. You're being simple. Marcus Bontempelli's, yeah. I was thinking Bont. I was thinking a bit more strategic in this sense about, well, I mean, not that, the dogs are absolutely a danger team. Grundy would be huge. Grundy would be very valuable right now. He has absolutely found his best football. But I did think, and Gary, I'm sorry. I know you don't like when I talk about getting other midfielders from because you think we've got enough. And it's costing opportunity. This is, a strategic finals only campaign that we delist the prick and send him back to where he came from. I want to pinch someone from Brisbane. I want to pinch Will Ashcroft. And I want to pinch Will Ashcroft because not only, the goal, Sam Collins, he'd be a good get. Sam Taylor from GWS would also be a fantastic get, though he just got a bath from Sam Darcy this weekend. I want Will Ashcroft because not only do we get ourselves a great inside-outside bull, but you weaken Brisbane in the process. You take away one of theirs. And they're obviously one of our major competitors in this final series. So for me, there's a bit of a double-edged sword to this, which is we weaken them and we get ourselves a great inside mid. So they're my thoughts on that one. Will Ashcroft would be the player that I would pinch from another club for this final series. That's the lens on it. For this final series would be the one I'd pinch and then send him back. Big brain, see? Thanks, roaming. Though Jezza puts forward a really great suggestion there as well. Josh Dunkley being the most underrated player in the comp. He is incredibly underrated. I don't know if he's the most, but yeah, he'd be a great pick as well. I mean, you've all come up with some great names there. From Dunkley, obviously I mentioned Ashcroft. I'm going to give myself a bit of a pat on the back there. But Ashcroft, Dunkley, Dacos, Bontempelli. Aaron suggests that Cam Rayner looms as Mr. September. He does have that dusty sort of presence about him. So, yeah, look, stealing Logan Morris from Brisbane would be pretty good at the moment as well. Matty Rowell would be a good one to get. That's a fantastic suggestion as well. Bussy says, the King is back. All hail Coach Lucas. It's because Lucas is back from his live watch-along of what? What were you watching? Like the cricket? Did the test just wrap up? They only needed like 30-odd runs, didn't they? Wait a minute. Holy shit. Lucas, why wasn't the first thing that you said? Why wasn't the first thing you said that the Poms got bowled out 6 runs short of a win? That's huge. That is huge. How quickly did it happen? All in the space of like 7 or 8 overs. Wild. Absolutely wild. That's awesome. You love to see it. Sucked in, England. Now, let's get back to the conversation at hand here. Luke's mum says, surely a Crows player. I have a lot of time for the Adelaide midfield. And that's what I would want to weaken. I mean, look, an obvious one is go, I'll take a Fogarty or I'll take a Riley Tilthorpe or someone like that. But no, I think I want to improve one of our weaknesses and cut the opposition off in that same area. And so that's why I'm thinking midfield. And then when I think about that, I am more drawn to some of the Brisbane players. And actually, yeah, Matty Rowell's a fantastic suggestion as well. So Jackie says it's a moral victory, though. Collar wasn't injured. I wish he'd be more confident with him at full back. Nick off Lucas says his mum. Only did it for an hour. Siraj was the winner. Collar's back. Make sure you watch it back. I will be watching that fight, that 7 or 8 overs back. That'll be really interesting. I assume, Lucas, was it on KO? I think it was. Or was it on like Foxtel or whatever service people want to call it? Because if it is, I'll just go watch it as soon as we're done. Romy says, take Adam Kingsley from the Giants, their coach. Then we win because they have figured us out. I mean, I like that big brain strategy as well. Amy suggests Jordan Dawson from Adelaide, but I don't think I think you bring in Jordan Dawson for as brilliant as he is, and I think he's probably their best player, certainly top 2 or 3, and an absolute front runner for the Brownlow this year. But if you bring him in and you put him alongside Bailey Smith and Max Holmes, do you have too many of the same sorts of players at that point? That's where I think that absolute like inside bull is the one that we'd want. But I do understand the rationale. He's a fantastic player. Freezer Stock says, we're setting off fireworks this Friday when Atkins reaches the tackle record. Okay. So as soon as I want to dive into this topic, but I'm not going to go too heavy on it because I want people, if you're a patron, to go to Patreon after the show ends tonight. There'll be a post. It'll be a scratching post episode going live 5 minutes after we are done. It's already recorded. It's there sitting on the back end. I've just got to link it. Tom Atkins needs to get, as Freezer Stock says, 17 tackles to get the record. My contention, because I've been sitting around too many English teachers today, my contention is that by the end of the AFL season, he won't be the record holder. That he might be the record holder for a week, maybe 2, but he may not actually end up being that way. I think the one that is more at risk, Amy's just kind of highlighted. It's kind of the main, I guess, the linchpin to my argument is that, Matty Rowell, I think, is going to take over. Matty Rowell has been coming on with a wet sail recently. Going into the Port game, Matty Rowell was only 4 tackles behind, and Axe, and they both had 4 games still to play. So for Axe to only get 4 tackles on the weekend, he's up by 8. Raul has a game in hand. And us playing some soft as butter opponents where we're probably not going to need to tackle as frequently as you used to. Yeah. Anyway, check out the video that I've got prepared. It's going to be going live on Patreon just after the show. If you're not a Hoops Crew patron, $5 a month is all it takes. If you're not a patron now and you do want to check out that video, there's a 7-day free trial there. So check out our Patreon afterwards. You can get that video, hook it straight into your veins. Check it out. I've got a few more scratching post videos that I've already recorded as well that I'm looking to drop over the course of the week. And I have got the weekly post out there looking to solicit some of your thoughts for topics as well. So if you've got something else, let me know and I'm going to churn them all out this week. But yeah, I don't think Axel will have the record by the end of the season, unfortunately. Maybe the overall, because maybe we go further than the Gold Coast through the finals. But the home and away, I think he might lose that one. But that's just where I'm at. Roaming says, for the Velas, I got my Bailey Smith headband. Axe is going to monster it this weekend. Watch. I hope so. Gary says, we've already seen what happens when we put another mid on top of what we already have. Ask George Stevens. It didn't work. I think George just had a really dirty game that day. I don't think that was we've got too many midfielders or that sort of. I don't think that was the problem at all. I just think he had a genuinely bad day. And then unfortunately fell on the sword because of it, which I really feel was unfortunate. I think he could have benefited from more opportunity, but in any second, I know Lucas is going to put a comment in there saying that Chris Scott doesn't like the kids. So I think he was dudded in this scenario. Axe is going to tackle. Everyone says Shadu. Axe only had 5 against Port early in the year. Mullen is stealing his tackles versus Port. Time to rest Stewart, Cameron, Danger, and Baz this week. That's just too many. Won't happen. Aaron says Axe spent the first half at Kingsway tackling protesters. Magnus says Mullen didn't get a single tackle. Flash says if it's a tie, do they go head-to-head in a tackle count? They'll just share the record. Gary, what do you make of the Worpel offer? And this was something I forgot because Ben wasn't able to do me show notes at all tonight, so I'm just kind of using an old structure and following it. That Geelong has reportedly offered James Worpel 4 years. That was the report going around today. I'll see if I can actually pull it from the Discord. But before I get to that, I'll quickly jump in and bring up the coaches' votes, where Max Holmes got the full 10, Graham Myers with 4, Bailey Smith with 4, Shannon Neal with 4, Jeremy Cameron and Oshin Mullen with 3 apiece, and Mark Blitzarves got the 2 votes from the coaches this weekend. I'm going to quickly flick over to the Discord, which you should join if you haven't already. I need to find... Where was the archive.md post that we had? Found it. Stop sharing that screen. Start sharing this screen. Boom. Geelong offers Hawks midfielder James Worpel a 4-year deal after being made the sub against the Crows. Geelong has entered the race. Now, we already knew this, but Geelong has entered the race after tabling its official interest in the hard nut midfielder next season. The Cats are on the hunt for another clearance winner to help Tom Atkins in the clinches and support brilliant playmakers Max Holmes and Bailey Smith in the engine room. Geelong's 4-year offer is considered an attractive pitch and matches the contract presented by Hawthorn to keep the midfielder at the club for the next season. Hawthorn's made it clear it wants to keep the best and fairest winner despite some nasty injuries this season. Some form issues that have put him under the microscope for Thursday night's final shaping clash against Collingwood at the MCG. Blah, 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 blah. Worpel is 26 years old. So there's just a little bit of an additional peek behind the scenes on that topic at the moment. Join the Discord, says Shadu. Please do. Lucas, I'm a bit disappointed that you have not yet spoken about Chris Scott not liking the kids, given I gave you an easy layup before. Come on. This is content 101. Take the advantage when it's there. Grins asked, perfect timing when it comes to the Discord. Hopefully I see you pinging in the Discord in the next minute or so. We'll keep a bit of an eye on the welcome channel and look forward to seeing you there shortly. Gary says another VFL player. No, I don't see that. Where are we? Lots of comments. Lucas do you still want Jezza in the reserves? Absolutely, you can't. He's sick of him. He's absolutely sick of him. That link takes me to the App Store to download the Google Chrome app. Let me just, since I am already fluffing around a little bit at the moment, I'll go across to our Discord. I will invite people. I will copy a link that is going to expire in 7 days. And for those like Grins that need it, try this. See if that works for you. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. So that is a very long match review there. We'll go around the grounds quickly and talk about the other matches that were played this weekend, because there was, another 7 of them, another 8 of them. Caden's just landed. There we go. Good to hear. We're queuing up. All right, let's go around the grounds and check out all the other games from this past weekend. Still plenty of games to discuss there. While we're doing so, while I'm bringing that up, we'll just take a moment to, I hate this stupid platform. Shout out Ethan Reid, the latest Rising Star nominee, this time from the Gold Coast Suns, with his 13 disposals, 9 marks and 2 goals. We're starting to drop that bar a little bit, aren't we? But no, it was a pretty solid effort. He's a great young player and is bound to do some really good things in the future. What does Shadu say that prompted Gary to say this? Is Worpel better than Bose? What role do we want Bose to do exactly? I think it's just we're just chasing depth. We are just chasing depth all the time. That's all it is. But Bose, I don't think, is necessarily thriving as that inside ball midfielder. He's an inside ball around the ground, but in terms of a clearance thing, he doesn't seem to be thriving in that area at the moment. But sorry, Gary, I can't see what. I'm not sure which. Oh yeah, but in terms of, I guess maybe this one. The what does Worpel mean for Nevitt, Clark, Stevens, TB, etc. Challenge. It makes it a real challenge, but it brings out the best, right? Like you consistently lifting the bar for all of these people because you got more and more challenge, more opponents to get through. Selection problems are good problems. Well, some selection problems. I wouldn't want to have Essendon's selection problems right now. I did drop the Telstra whistle. I had some students today walk in front of me and give me the walk. I'm like, oh, well, all right. I leant into it and did it with them. All right. Let's bring up the around the ground scores from this past weekend and go through everything that occurred. Of course, it began with a hiding that we saw playing out before us last Thursday when we were doing the Paul James show. 88 points, the margin there to the Dogs against the Giants. A tight one between the Hawks and the Crows. The Crows stealing it late by 14 points. The D's smacked the Eagles by 83. The Suns smacked the Tigers by 84. You can tell these teams are really just putting the cue in the rack now. Go and get your operations, everyone. The Swans beat the Bombers by 14 points. Not at all convincing. The Pies, we've discussed them a little bit already. Very much in danger now, losing to the Lions by 27 points at the MCG. The Saints also nearly blew a game against the Roos, winning by 9. The Cats, we've spoken about, winning by 88. And Freo, after a massive scare, went on to win by 27 points. Gary says, I believe that another club will benefit by recruiting players who are not getting a game. Yeah, I mean, sorry, to make sure I'm clear, are you saying other clubs should be going for the Worpels and those sorts of guys? Or are you saying that by pursuing what we are, that you're then going to be losing your Clarks and your Nevitts and your Stevenses and those for other clubs that are going to be recruiting players not getting a game? Because it all kind of makes sense. It swings and roundabouts. But what I firmly believe Geelong is trying to do now is create such a level of competition on its list that as a club, there's no losing. Like you're in a no-lose situation where you're going to have a strong list. Not that we can't lose football, but there's like you're in a great position for depth. And that may mean then that players leave. It mightn't be the really young guys we're talking about. It might be the Boses. It might be the not that I love saying it, the Ollie Henrys, those sorts of guys, maybe they start to go, well, I don't think I can make it here, so I have to go. But if they go, we get more, we get picks for them, we get players for them, and it becomes this never-ending cycle of Geelong rotating in really high quality, potentially experienced, semi-experienced players, and then going to the draft table where Stephen Wells, works his magic and pulls out a Connor O'Sullivan or a Lawson Humphreys or some of these sorts of guys, and we are just chocked to the full to the brim with depth. It's an unfortunate one because I think we all as Cats fans get really invested in some of these guys. Like you, Gary, and like so many of you watching right now, I desperately want to see George Stevens in particular thrive. But maybe it doesn't work out. I don't know. But I do agree with what Shadou's saying, that some of these guys would get a game every week at a middling club. Ben describes us as a middling club. So I guess you lie. Got to attend to my wife. Have a great night, everyone, says Bussy. Enjoy. See you later, mate. Amy says, that's what happens. Sadly, not all players will be on the list next year. Wiltshire would probably be one of the first delisted. No offense to him. I think, I've spoken a little bit about this, I think, on the Paul James show recently. And, I guess we're going to have to start. I don't like the idea because we've kind of got relationships with some of the players that we've spoken to over the journey. But, we're going to have to probably put together a video at some point speculating about who's going to be delisted, who's going to face the axe. And I don't mean Tom Atkins. And some of these guys are potentially going to have to go, and we don't want that. So it's a really shitty situation. But yeah, no list manager, neither are we, so don't worry about it. We can speculate as much as we like. We don't like it, but it might have to happen. Is letting Ollie Henry leave fair or delist? I don't think it's fair. No, I think he needs more. I think he's had one kind of semi-rough season, and people are throwing the baby out with the bathwater with him. But I guess the point I was trying to make is that if you create so much depth, that players who would be, as was mentioned before, walk-up starts at almost every other club in the competition have to get delisted or traded because they can't get a game at Geelong. It's Ben, we're still going through the around the grounds at the moment. We haven't even gotten to Q&A yet. Nice for you to finally pop in, though. What's the go with Ollie Henry, Paul? Yeah, look, I don't think there's too much to it. Where does he fit now? We see him settled. Look, I think Ollie's going to really struggle this season. I think his opportunity is rapidly closing. And also, to Amy's point, these players won't leave. There's not a lot of reasons for them to leave. There's always opportunity. And you always feel close, and you're part of a winning club. There's not a lot of incentive to leave, but it's who plays and who doesn't, who stays at the club, who doesn't. It's such a tricky thing, but it's why I am okay with pursuing the Worpels, the Alex Davieses, because it's depth. It gives you so many options, and where maybe one doesn't work, another thrives, or a young bloke who comes in thrives and keeps them out of it. And you go, oh, well, okay, I just got this, player who I know to be a fantastic player that can't get a game because George Stevens has exploded. It's a really good problem to have. It's a really tricky one, and there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of investment that we all form in, especially the ones that we draft. And when you don't see them getting a game, it's annoying. And we've all probably felt annoyance at certain points over the course of the season because, George Stevens in particular, I think, hasn't been getting a game. It's really difficult. Lucas says, how is Forza Horizon? Have you got the GTR Skyline yet? I'd have to go double check. I can't remember. I've got a bunch of HSVs. For some reason, I keep landing some HSVs. But anyway. Luke's mum is out for the night. Enjoy. Amy says, Aaron, just flagging for Aaron and all of us, because now I'm putting her in blast, that Tim Kelly should sign a 2-year deal this year. Aiden says, is it just me or does James Worpel not seem needed at the Cats? What are your thoughts? Again, depth, I think, is one of the best aspects of it. Flash says, I thought Parfitt would get picked, but no takers. Yeah, I'm still shocked by that. Luke says, had over 500 cars done, all missions and achievements, and then they bring it on PlayStation. Get used to it, mate. Gears of War's coming in 3 weeks. Parfitt was too slow. Yeah, and I don't think there wasn't the poise. I think our list profile and the players who are in similar sort of positions to Parfitt, who are kind of on the fringe, getting a game, not getting a game, are more talented than what Brandon Parfitt is. Yeah, don't worry, mate. I'll check it out. Starfield, apparently the rumor is kind of early next year. There's a PS5 version coming, supposedly. There's also a final expansion coming, and apparently those are going to be kind of bundled together from all reports. But I'm sure we'll hear from that soon. There's a big Xbox showcase next week. All right. Let's continue to push on here and just talk about some of the other key details from this weekend. The VFL, Geelong defeated. Oh, hang on, that's old. The VFL, we didn't play. The AFLW girls with their practice match clobbered. I think it was the Saint. It was clobbered the Suns on the weekend. Things looking real good in that regard as well. Somehow we're nearly an hour into the show and we haven't shouted out Cyril Cook Florist. So let's do so now.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Oh, what is that? That's not how I left the screen, god damn it. Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Please drop those flower emojis if you haven't already. There's roaming, as if on cue. Look on Discord, Paul, for the SDK Diddy looking ad from the Footy Record, by the way. It's the Paul James Show section. All right, hang on, I'm going to have a look now. There's some photos from Ben's dropping photos from I wore that. Okay. Let me remove some of these so the graphics don't pop up again because I don't need them anymore. And then we will project the Discord as we did the other day. Window. Done. I wore the turtle shirt. I wore the fucking turtle shirt. Yes, IDD, Cheap Trips. Ben told me to bring it. I'm going to read the text out. I got a text at 8:42 on Sunday morning that said, bring the blue t-shirt for a photo op. I don't know what that photo op was. He just took a sneaky selfie when I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, here we go. See you later, Gary. Enjoy the night. Oh, there's another one. Oh, look. It caught me in another flattering pose. Thanks, Ben. Love it. Love your work. Dickhead. I have to, like, he told me to bring it. And I can see he should do, kind of in the Discord there. And in the chat. Double parked, aren't you, at the moment? You got to give the people what you want. I ate 3 large pizzas. If only. What I will say. Let me see. I'm going to have to, because StreamYard's not the best platform for most things, actually. But I need to make sure. Sorry, I'm just going to make sure I've got my link for Game of the Show up. And then I'll hide all of that for now. We don't need that. I'm going to just give you all a little peek behind the curtain for something that I'm planning for postseason. We've been chatting a little bit about what can we do content-wise. Your wife could have done better photo plug for your wife. Yeah. My wife, Angelica James Photography, go check it out. The studio is now nearly all done. And she's ready to go to start running a business out of it. I am so proud of her. I'm going to get OBS open, which is the platform we will do all this streaming business through in the future. I'm going to have to try and open it a few times because sometimes it doesn't play nice and open what I want when I want it. But here we go. So we'll share my screen. Bear with some additional cross promotion here for Player. Oh, I'll come back. Player2.net.au. It's our Let's Play platform. But I'll log into my PlayStation here, and I'll just show off a little game that's installed on my PS5 at the moment called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. When the season is complete, it's game time. Like, Dame Lillard, Dame time. It's game time. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate is going to be that first game off out the blocks. So stay tuned for that one. This is one of my 3 PS5s in the household. I'm looking forward to doing it. Just to lean into the fun and games a little bit more. So anyway, enough of that for now. Since we're on a bit of a run of game stuff at the moment, we'll get into game of the show. Lucas, are you still there? I'm looking for Coach Lucas, because Coach Lucas, among others, is a bit of a fan of a classic RPG, and I've got one for him this week. Lucas, are you there, Lucas? Calling out to Coach Lucas. Anyway, we had a Nintendo Direct the other day, and there was some new games shown, lots of them. Lots of games coming to your Switch too. So I'm going to show off Octopath Traveler 0, and then we'll come back.
In the beginning, there was nothing. Everything began with the birth of Orsa, mother of all. She created our world, the land of Orstera.
Are you heading out on your journey? Yes, I suppose the time is right. You're finally ready. We've come to join your little lighting ceremony.
You have a death wish?
I wish I could see everyone here laughing and smiling just one more time. Are you going to rebuild Wishvale? Or are you going to find the people who took our home from us?
Witness a tale of beginnings that unfolds across Orstera. Octopath Traveler 0 is available
and
on
other
December
platforms
4th,
as well. That's Octopath
2025.
Traveler 0. All right, moving right along. That's our game of the show done. In the beginning, there was Tom Atkins. Yeah. So throw a few questions at me. We're about to cross the hour mark. I have also been in here for another hour before all of this, recording my patched podcast, and I need to edit that one. So we're not going to stick around too late tonight, because I do need to get to work, and I need to get out of here and go see my wife, who I basically just haven't spent any time with at all tonight. Finished work. My son had footy training. He's in a 4-week footy unders program, so it's not even the real under 9s or anything like that yet. But they've got like a little training thing for a 4-week program. He was doing that. I was busy cooking dinner at home because I was not going to be able to make it in time. My wife took him to training. Dinner was ready. We took the kids to the bath. We got them to bed. By the time I'd put my son to bed, my wife had gone to the gym. By the time she got back, I was already in here recording Patch. By the time I finished Patch, there was 3 minutes to go before this stream started. So it's just been back to back to back, and I've still got to edit Patched and then schedule it for tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Patched on YouTube, YouTube and podcast feeds, if you want to get your fill of all things video games, including more detail on that Nintendo Direct. Ben says, shout out to Bianca for dominating under 11s. It's good stuff. She's a rock star. What did I have for dinner? I made some burgers. Made some burgers. Good, wholesome stuff for my son after coming home from footy training. A homemade burger. All right, throw a few questions at me. We've definitely slowed down a little bit in the last little while, but we'll try and finish strong. If you should have got Ethan on tonight. I haven't seen him in the chat. Thoughts on GWS? Really let themselves down the other night, but they're always a threat for us. So I don't want to deal with them no matter what form they're in. Ben, you're here. I obviously mentioned the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing. I want a layout of some sort that we can use for video game streaming in the postseason through OBS. So if you can get to work on that, that'd be great. You're doing a watch along for the Brownlow or Kaji? Definitely Kaji. We'll definitely do Kaji again. And the Brownlow, I don't see why not. Depends on what my night looks like. But Flash asks, who does my wife support? When I met her in 2014, she was an Essendon supporter. But conveniently enough, the drug scandal came out. She wasn't copping any of that. And all of a sudden, this very overconfident Geelong supporter comes swanning into her life, talking about how wonderful it is to be a Geelong supporter. She jumped ship. She saw a fair bit of heartbreak with all those prelims. But I turned her into a Geelong supporter. So there's a little bit of love still in there for the Bombers. I think but they're definitely a second team these days. So, but it was easy enough to swing her. And the thing that sealed it, oh shit. She said this was in like the first 6 months that we were together, and I'm working really hard to try and turn her into a Geelong supporter. I said, what do I need to do to make this a thing? She goes, if you can get a few signatures, we're done. So obviously I wasn't part of it. I mean, there's 10 years before any Hoops Crew, almost 10 years before any Hoops Crew stuff at that point. But I reached out to my granddad, who I've mentioned in the past is a former Geelong player. So he's got access through the past players thing to kind of representatives at the club. I said, I need you to do me a favor. Can you please reach out to the club and see if you can get some player signatures for me? That's all it's going to take to swing Angelica into a Geelong supporter. And so, not long later, who signed it? I'd have to go dig it out. Mitch Duncan, Josh Caddy, and Cam Guthrie had all signed a card and sent it through. That's it. Deal was done. She was a Geelong supporter. Ben says, does Jezza kick the 100 in the grand final? No, he kicks it before that. But what I really want is I want it done by the end of a qualifying final. Now, assuming we earn the double chance, of course. I want it done by the end of a qualifying final. I want them to feed him constantly these next 3 weeks. I'm so terrified of a Fraser Garrick situation. And I don't want that in a knockout final. I can deal with it in the qualifying, because if we lose, we get a second chance, we batter up, we don't have the distraction anymore, and off we go. But I don't want it in a knockout final of any sort, especially a grand final. But I'm really intrigued to see what happens if it is something like a grand final, or any of the finals, actually. The AFL will want to protect its MCG. Its security is at its absolute highest through the finals. Tradition says, though, everyone storms the ground. That's going to be really interesting. That's going to be really, really interesting. And if they knuckle under, I'll be there with my wife and kids, and we'll get on the ground. We're not going to go storming over to where the players are. It's too dangerous for a 6 and a 4-year-old. But we'll get on the ground. We'll enjoy the moment. Have a bit of fun with it. But also, someone at work... one of my students earlier today joked that, and then my kids will be one day, mid-20s, talking to their friends about football and how they're still dealing with a life ban from the AFL because they got on the ground when they were 6 and 4 years old with their dad after Jeremy Cameron kicked 100 in the final. It was very witty from my students. I was quite impressed. Where are we? Vote for Jack Henry for Mark of the Year on the Discord link. Ben, will you wear a suit for Brownlow live stream? Of course he will. He was not the best for us, in my opinion. Does Max Holmes poll more votes than Bailey? He's coming on really well. I could see it happening. Why doesn't Brad Close have the Addams Family theme song for his goal? He does have a bit of an Addams Family look and vibe about him. Romy says he'll storm the ground. Lucas says, I thought they storm the field if they kick 100 in the regular season, not just for finals. It doesn't count, so why storm the field? 100 goals in a season is 100 goals in a season. And when Fraser Garrick got his 100th, that's exactly what happened. And that was a prelim final, if I recall. Stop lying, both of you. You're going to wear your birthday suits. Or maybe that's what Ben means with a white suit, because he's just pasty. We'll get out there. No, 100 goals is 100 goals. It's certainly, I would say it's more impressive to notch it up in the home and away, but 100 goals in a season is still 100 goals in a season. No one's going to complain. All right. Time for one final question. Throw it at me if you've got one. And then we'll wrap this one up because I need to edit a show. I need to get inside. And eventually I need to get some sleep. Still counts, just not towards the Coleman. Does the Crows forward line worry you? Can we handle them? Yes. Yes, we can. Yes, they worry me. They're chock full of talent. No, I think we can handle it. We've got the right mix of players in that defensive end, from Jack Henry to Sam DeConing to Connor O'Sullivan to Tom Stewart, to be able to roll through the likes of Fogarty and Tex and Thilthorpe. There'll definitely be some extra support there for sure, but no, I think we'll be okay. Why not much love for Lawson Humphries from the game? Thought he was stellar. He was. I just don't... I think he was very good, but I don't think it was necessarily like an absolute standout game from him. On Brownlow night, we can drink every time a Cats player gets a vote. We'll be dead. Roaming says it's still 100 and it's not been done since 2008. It's a huge moment this could happen for this to happen. Lucas says, also doing another love stream today in 30 minutes, so everyone get on that. Question, why do you hate Lawson? He just shits me. I love Lawson. And Ben, you positioned to get him on behind the play last year or the year before, and you didn't follow through after he got his debut. You're the problem. Anyway, on that note, Ben is the problem. We'll wrap things up. Thank you all for having tuned in to the show tonight. As always, actually, to Roaming's point, Lucas, let everyone know where they can check out your live stream in 30 minutes, where they can check that one out. I'll make sure to pin the comment. So if you got links, drop it in there. But thank you all for having tuned in. If you've liked this video, if every single person who's liked or watched this video tonight likes the video, holy shit, the Hoops crew is going skyward. So please consider dropping a like on this video. I know there's many of you watching on Twitter tonight. Jump across to YouTube, drop a like on the video. Hell, do it on the Twitter version as well. The more people that engage with the video, the more people come in, and we want to build this community up as much as possible. There are so many wonderful, high-quality individuals checking out all of the Hoops crew content, and we want more of them on board. So, yeah, it's a little bit of bump, chicka wow wow to his stream. Love Island with Lucas. So yeah, check out all the other content there as well. The Chaps Chat Cats will do their thing. I saw they were recording the show earlier tonight. That will be live on YouTube tomorrow. Enough of the Week has been recorded. Ben is going to be sticking a thumbnail on that, and that will be published tomorrow morning. So you're going to check that one out as well. We've got a whole lot more, so go check out all of the YouTube content. And of course, the Paul James Show will be back on Thursday night for you to enjoy as we preview Geelong and Essendon the very next night. Post-game live will then follow on Friday night, and you'll get a few days off. We'll all get a few days off before I'm back at it with the Paul James Show on Monday. Check out our Patreon. I referenced it earlier on. The scratching post will be going live shortly after this. It is all about Tom Atkins and his pursuit of a record. But I think, actually, I'll save my little punchline for the video. Anyway, thank you all for having tuned in tonight. Paul James Games is where you'll find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at The Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. Thank you all for watching. Lucas, you're too slow dropping your link in the chat, so you've missed your chance. Check out Lucas streaming on wherever it is that he's streaming. I'll see you later.